A year ago today, just before my 37th birthday, I decided to quit my job and run my business full time. So today, just after my 38th birthday, I wanted to share some of the biggest lessons that I've learned in business over the past year. Hi, I'm Tasha with One Big Happy Life, and we help you find balance, build wealth, and live happy. Everything that you need to create the life that you want. So a year ago, I was a banking and finance attorney working for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau as a policy attorney. I was on the team that was slated to be writing a massive new small business regulation, and I walked away from that for this, the thing that I love, my passion project, which is One Big Happy Life. And I'm so happy that I did it. It's kind of crazy that the world kind of got flipped on its head in this very first year of business, but we're still going strong. And so I'm really excited to share these business lessons with you. Now, before I get into these tips, let me just say that if you've been thinking about starting your own online business, you absolutely should. Next month, I'm going to be doing a free 30-day workshop where we're going to be working through your ideas for starting your own online business. And in the meantime, I would love for you to head on over to onebighappylife.com/profit plan so you can download our guide to the ways that online businesses make money so you can start thinking about how you want to start making money in your own online business. And then you'll get an email from me closer to August where we'll kick off the workshop. Number one being that I absolutely love being an entrepreneur, and it is my intention to never work in a traditional corporate environment ever again, because I just love having complete control over my schedule, over the type of work that I do, the types of projects that I take on. And I really love, in particular, online entrepreneurship, being a digital entrepreneur, because I'm location independent, and I just feel like the whole vibe of the digital entrepreneurship online space is very different from corporate, right? Like, we are those people that love to be casual, right? We're professional, we're great at what we do, and we make great money, but we're not worried about, all of that office politics stuff and, having to dress a certain way and look a certain way. I get to show up the way I want to show up. So I choose to show up like this. And if you follow us over on Instagram, you'll see more of the normal day-to-day life in stories over at One Big Happy Life. But I just get to be more me. So for example, when I worked at my very first law firm, I felt so uncomfortable showing my tattoo, for example. It just didn't feel quote unquote professional. But I love my tattoo, and it never felt right to me that I had to hide that side of myself because of what other people thought. And so I love that I have a business that allows me to show up as my full and authentic self without having to hide any parts of myself. So, and of course, that allows me to continue to make money during a pandemic and to be home with my family, because ever since I quit my job, I've been working at home full time, which means I'm here with my kids in the morning. I'm available to drop Reeves off at school, show up in the middle of the day. I'm here when everyone comes home at the end of the day. And so I've just been able to have so much time with them, and that gift has just been incredible. Which brings me, and I've touched on this a little bit, but the second lesson is the importance of staying true to myself and my vision and what I stand for. Now, the thing about entrepreneurship is that it is a straight choose your own adventure book. I don't know if you like to read those books when you were a kid. I loved them. I would always look for them at my library, look for one that I hadn't read before, and I'd always try to go down every different path. Well, with entrepreneurship, you get to decide what your business looks like, what it stands for, what type of content you put out there. You make all of those decisions in your business, but you're not entirely in in a bubble, right? There are other businesses out there that are going to be doing very similar things to you, right? We're certainly not the only people out there that talk about personal finance, that talk about building wealth. We're not the only people out there that talk about how to start an online business so that you can quit your job and still have a six-figure income. Other people talk about those things. And so it can be really easy to look at what other people are doing and to feel like you're doing something wrong because you're not doing it the way that they're doing it, or the way that you talk about what you do is different from the way that they talk about what they do. Or another thing to look that I sometimes saw myself feeling tempted to do is creating content that didn't align with our messaging or even what I was interested in doing. So a perfect example of that would be 2 years ago, I did a few keto videos because I was personally trying out keto. I wanted to see if it would be the thing that worked for me. And it wasn't, in that it was a bit of a struggle for me to keep doing it. So I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. But those videos do really well. And I sometimes, on occasion, especially Joseph, was tempted to say, oh, well, maybe we should do some more keto videos. But I knew I didn't want to do any keto videos. That's not where my passion is. I want to help people live their dream lives. I want to push them to believe that their dreams are possible and then to give them the practical tools to help them do that from a also financially responsible way so they can build wealth. That is what I want to talk about, right? And I'm not doing keto, so I don't want to talk about keto. So I'm really, over this past year, I've really taken it to heart that it is okay for me to have the message that I have, even if it means that we're not going to be growing as explosively as other people. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the business that I am building. I'm okay with the change that I am making in the world and in the lives of the people that choose to be here with me on this journey and to have me be a part of their journey. The third lesson that I learned is that what got me here won't get me there. So last year we had our first multiple six-figure year inside of One Big Happy Life. And overall, we've made over $500,000 in revenue in the business, which is not the same as profit, but I will say in revenue, that's still quite substantial. And so I set this super ambitious goal for myself to hit $1 million in revenue within a year or 2 years. Well, here we are 7 months into 2020, and we're right on track to be right around where we were last year. And one of the things that I realized, just realized maybe like a month ago really, is that I know exactly how to do what I've done before. But the thing that's going to get me to where I want to go will be doing different things. You can't do the same things and then expect different results. So I'm really taking that to heart for the rest of this year. And one of the things that we decided to do was to actually put a pause on the brand campaigns. And so we've been turning down all of the brand campaigns that come to us. And boy, it's hard to turn down that guaranteed revenue in our business, but I just need the time to focus in on the next steps, the vision that I have for where I see One Big Happy Life going. And I can't do that if I'm constantly going back and forth, negotiating contracts and, dealing with brand revisions and things like that. It takes up a lot of time, and it's ultimately not the direction that I want us to be going in as a company. So we made the decision that we're just not going to take any more brand work for the next couple of months, and then we'll see how it goes from there if we have some additional bandwidth. And so just sitting in that decision and being comfortable with that decision as the CEO of my company took some effort there, right? It took some bravery to do that, but I'm really glad that I did. And I know that it is the best decision for our company in the long run. Lesson number 4 is the importance of investing in mentors to help guide you. Last year, I really reinvested in my own education in running an online business because there are so many moving pieces when it comes to online business, especially on the marketing side. And so I, this year, really leveled up. I joined a higher level mastermind with people who are further along in their business. And what that does is give me access to other people who are doing what I want to do, who are, even above me, like their revenue levels are higher. And so I get to talk to them and brainstorm with them and listen to how they think about business, which really up levels how I think about my own business. So investing, I've never regretted investing in my business. Now, not every investment has paid off. Not every program that I have taken I've loved, but they've all been learning experiences, even if it's in the form of what not to do when I run my own programs, or what to include in my own programs to make sure that my students are taken care of. And so I don't regret any of the investments that I have made into the business, into my own education and learning about how to be a better business owner. So I will always set aside some amount of money to reinvest into knowledge and training, just like I did when I was a lawyer, to continue to grow my business. Lesson number 5 is that failure is inevitable. Now, last year, we launched the Wealth Planner for the first time, which was a physical planner. And so the Wealth Planner was supposed to ship out in January, but this was our first time figuring out how to send out a physical product. So there were delays between us and the designer, between the designer and the printer, and then COVID happened. So then we were not able to ship out the Wealth Planner. And so we ended up having to refund all of the money on all of the wealth planners, but we still had to pay the designer. And so we totally lost money on that endeavor. And that was the first big, really big revenue loss business failure that I had ever had. And I was just able to roll with it. I was a little sad because I was really excited about our first physical product. So it was kind of devastating that it didn't end up working out. But the truth is that if you're doing business right, you're going to experience failures because business is about trial and error. No two businesses are exactly alike. No two products, no two audiences are exactly alike. And so you're going to have to do a lot of trial and error. And some things you're going to try and they're going to fall flat. Like maybe you'll put out something on social media for a while and there'll be crickets. That stuff happens. And so I've just come to accept that failure doesn't mean anything about me. It doesn't mean anything about my company or what's possible for us in the future. All it is feedback. Now I know what not to do. And so, for example, we would start the process we're starting the process for the 2021 Wealth Planner in July, not in November. So that way we can be sure that products are ready to ship by December. Okay, so lesson learned from that. And then the final lesson that I learned is that I need to understand the different parts of my business and how they work before I decide to hire it out to someone else to do, and before I even decide to hire someone. Because for a lot of reasons, one of them being that I've got to know what a role requires in order to hire the person that has the skills that will be able to actually accomplish that task. Otherwise, I'm just setting someone up for failure. And so earlier this year, also, the other part of that is that I need to understand the specific roles that need to be accomplished in my business before I hire someone. So earlier this year, I decided to hire someone, and before really I had identified exactly what I wanted that person to work on. And that is a problem because One Big Happy Life, you're here on YouTube, so you may just see the YouTube part. And so you may think, oh, well, they're just YouTubers. There are many moving parts to our business. And that person that I brought on quickly got overwhelmed. And then on top of that, we talk about personal finance, and a lot of the topics that we cover, especially inside of Wealth Builders Academy, go to a much deeper level. And so that person, they had a really hard time coming on board and hitting the ground running because I tried to give them too much and they didn't have some of the skills that were needed for that particular role. And then I didn't have the time to train them. And so I need to recognize that if I don't have time to train someone, then I've got to make sure that the person already has the skills. So that was a big learning curve right there. And I ultimately had to let the person go, which meant I had my first conversation where I had to, fire someone. And it's entirely my fault, not at all that person's fault. I take full responsibility for that. And it was hard because, I hire someone because I like them as a person, because I can see myself working with that person for years and that person coming on and working full time in the company. So it was a hard thing to do, but it was an important lesson for me to learn. So those are my major learnings from the past year. And there's so many other things. There were so many things I wanted to tell you about in this video, but I think that these are some really solid ones given where I am in my business right now and what has happened over the past year. But I firmly believe that there has never been a better time to start your own business. And so I'm so excited to be doing this month-long workshop in August to help you get started. So head on over to onebighappylife.com/profit plan to download the profit plan. Start thinking about, well, what are some ways you would like to make money online with your own business, starting out as a side hustle and then growing it. And then we can workshop it in August. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys on Friday, where I will be talking about the financial lessons that I've learned over the past year. All right, bye.